The newly sworn-in ministers have continued to assume work at their various ministries. For the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, he says in the face of diminishing demands for hydrocarbon, the solid minerals sector remains a viable option for economic growth. Dele Alake's counterpart at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, says sector reforms top the agenda of his administration in the next 4 years. TVC News' Jockey Adisa has more details.
Nigeria's newly appointed Minister of Solid Minerals arrives at the headquarters of the ministry to assume duty. He is welcomed by the Permanent Secretary, heads of agencies under the ministry, and a number of directors. The Minister of Steel Development and his Minister of State follow suit. Inside the building, Dele Alake admits his portfolio was the upset of the entire cabinet, having been pigeonholed as an information and perception manager. He promises to unveil his roadmap in days ahead, hinting that the solid mineral sector is a viable option to hydrocarbon, whose demand is on the decline.
Hydrocarbon is fading out. That is the oil. It's fading out. Now you are having, the world is moving towards alternative. You have gas, you have electric cars and all the like. So what this means in essence is that the petroleum industry is on a downward trend. Now, what is the next fundamental economic growth factor for Nigeria? Is solid minerals.
For the Minister of Steel Development, the Ajaokuta Steel Company and other steel organizations will be revitalized.
The creation of the new ministry solely for steel development underscores the vision and determination of Mr. President to our country's development, as it is a well-known fact that steel is the bedrock of industrialization of any nation.
At the Ministry of Labor and Productivity, the new ministers promise to take youths off the streets and into gainful employment.
The ministers shall leverage on technology, skill acquisition, entrepreneurship, agriculture, among others, to open up more employment opportunities for all Nigerians.
Lateef Fagbemi promises sector reforms at the Ministry of Justice.
I am open for suggestions, for, yes, criticisms. There's nothing bad in criticisms, but it must be constructive. When you criticize, you prefer solution.
The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, and the two Ministers of State, Petroleum Resources, in oil and gas, also assumed offices with promises to meet President Bola Tinubu's set targets.
I'm going to spend more time on the field so that we can achieve the results. I don't want to be told stories in the office. I want to go to the field with the people to see what is going on there so that we can achieve the results that we expect in this sector.
The ministers are united in their determination to facilitate economic diversification. They are confident that with the support of staff, Nigeria's economy will see a massive turnaround in months and years ahead. Jockey Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.
Joining me to look at the assumption of office by the new ministers is a professor of international law and former special advisor to Governor of Lagos State on Overseas Affairs and Investment, Ademola Abbas. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at 1. The ministers have been reeling out their agenda. How convincing would you say their messages have been?
Thank you very much for having me. I mean, as you know, they only got sworn in 2 days ago. So I'm sorry, yesterday. So it's their first day in office. We can only take them on what they have said. Many of them are veterans of political landscapes. They functioned in different capabilities before. I know quite a good number of them, as many Nigerians also do. So whatever they're saying, I will, I'll give them the benefit that they do understand. They have to hit the ground running. They know the kind of place Nigeria is in now. We know where we are now, and we know what we need to do to move the country forward very rapidly. So I would say, yes, they sound confident, as they should, they're not strangers to Nigerian political landscape. They're no strangers to what is going on in the country across board. They're no strangers to what ordinary people are experiencing because of the various policies of the incumbent government, which policies, anybody will tell you, and we will agree, are very good policies on the long term, but Nigerians also need to see a lot of relief in the short term. So I do think, and I very much hope that the ministers will bring succor to people very, very, very quickly.
Let's talk about some of the strategies they have put forward. The FCT minister, for one, has said it would restore the Abuja master plan. What do you make of the strategies he had put forward? Because he said whatever has to be demolished will be demolished. Shanties, settlements, all of them might have to go.
Well, thank you very much. I think what Minister Wike said is not so much of a strategy, but the goal that he wants to see scored. Look, his target, his objectives are laudable. Because on the one hand, yes, we want everybody to thrive in Abuja, we want buildings to go up and this and that. On the other hand, we also want to preserve the aesthetical value of the federal capital. We want to make sure that things are done in a very orderly manner. We want to make sure that we don't have a situation in which you drive in and you have unwanted guests in terms of rams, cows, and just straight into the road. So look, there is no questioning the rationale or the sensibility of wanting to restore or restore Abuja to its glory, or restore or take measures that will ensure that the aesthetical value of Abuja is not lost on the platter of whimsical constructions here and there and so on and so forth. But as I said, what Minister Wike has said so far is to tell the nation what he wants to do. He hasn't told us how he wants to do it, which is not talking about the strategies to achieve your goal. To have one goal is another thing. And don't forget, a very good initiative can be made bad by very bad implementation or misplanning, basically. So we will say, well, all the, it's already put out there what he wants to do, what he wants Abuja to go back to, what he wants to see in Abuja, which is okay. But I think the minister needs to take a step back and do a serious reflecting on his strategies. How does he want to achieve this? You must make sure you achieve your aims in a way that does not remove one problem by creating more problems in the process.
One new ministry that has been introduced is the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. This is like a path that has not been charted before now. What are your expectations from this ministry in this administration?
Well, you're right. It's a new ministry. How much is a part uncharted is, we have to be a little circumspect in that, because maybe not exactly in the name of the ministry itself, but some of the strands of what the ministry will be doing, I think have been touched upon, albeit not very seriously or very cogently in the past. But having said that, we now have a ministry that will focus on marine and blue economy. It's high time we got one in Nigeria, to be honest with you. When you have countries like Singapore, Ireland, Iceland, and so many other countries, they've been doing this for a few years now. That's a huge opportunity that is waiting there. There's vast potentials that are waiting for the country to tap into. It is a ministry that is going to also be huge in terms of foreign investment. You're talking about blue economy, you're talking about marine economy here. We need to bring in the knowledge with expertise from across the globe into that particular. We have not even begun to scratch, what we have in our seas, what we have in terms of blue economy in this country. And the knowledge is up there. So I am hoping that the new minister, I think that's Minister, former Governor Oyetola, will go out and tap into the knowledge base that is already existing across the world and bring in the much needed expertise to develop that. And beyond that is the fact that now institutes like agencies like NIMASA, MPA and co,
yes,
all of them are going to be count, are going to be within that ministry now. So the ministry is going to be able to coordinate them far more effectively. And we have a lot of troubles in some of the agencies in the past, NIMASA and so on and so forth. I don't need to go there. We all know the story. But I think for the first time, we can now have a coalition ministry that can bring all of them together under one umbrella.
Yes, Prof.
Yes,
Absolutely, Prof. And as the President has said, Nigerians are highly expecting delivery, accountability, and transparency from these ministers. Professor of International Law at Demola Abbas, thank you for talking to us on TVC News at 1.
My pleasure.